Hello everyone, welcome to Difedas Creations. This is a YouTube channel where I teach how to draft, how to cut, and how to sew. With time, we'll talk about matters related to fashion as a whole. Please subscribe if you are new here and click on the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. To all my subscribers, I say thank you for being there. You've been a pillar of support, and I give you thumbs up. So today's tutorial, without wasting time, is going to be on how to draft a peplum skirt. The peplum skirt we are going to draft today is the type that would have a circle flare at the knee area. Now, some peplums have theirs above at the waist area, but this would have at the knee length area. And if I say the knee length area, I'm actually referring to 2 inches above the knee length, not the actual knee length area. So let's get started. Now, for people, you need the knowledge of how to draft a basic skirt block. It's the foundation for all skirts. So I have my patterns here. I didn't add allowances for the sides. I didn't add seam allowance here. I only added allowance here. Now the measurements to be considered as is the waist, the hips, the knee length, and the waist to hip, that's the hip depth, and the new knee length. So the actual length of the skirt as well is needed here. Now, the skirt is 27 inches long. The knee length is 22 inches. Like I said, all you need to do is take 2 inches away from your knee length, but don't forget to add half an inch for seam allowance. So in other words, if your knee length is 22, your new knee length should be 20 and a half. 20 and a half. You've included the seam allowance at the new knee length area. Now, another distinct thing about this peplum skirt is that you need a skirt that has a pencil-like look to give it a tube-like look. You know, pencil skirts are actually called tube skirts because they fit seriously, and at the hemline it becomes slimmer, so they call it tube skirts. So you need to fit your skirts to shape it at the new knee length, and I have done that here. As you can see, the hip line area, the hip is wider than the new knee length area. It's obvious, it's wider. I shaped it. I went in by half of an inch here. At this area, I just went in by half of an inch to shape it up a bit. And the reason why I used half an inch is that you need to move around, and if you shape it, if you use a lot of inches, like maybe 1 inch, you might find it difficult to move around. Well, you can use 3/4 of an inch as well, but I used half an inch for mine. So now, as you can see, the blocks are here. The patterns, I drafted the patterns. I didn't want to take too much of our time, so that's why I have the basic skirt block patterns available, cut to the exact size I need. Now, we are through with the block itself. I said this peplum skirt is going to have a 360-degree circle. Today, I'll actually show you how to measure and cut it out. I know some people still have issues with that. This fabric would be used for it. Can you see? I folded this fabric into 2. See? This is what it looked like before. You fold it in 2. Fold it in 2 this way. Fold it in 2. This is what it looks like. Now fold it in 2 again. I hope that's clear enough. Fold it in 2 again. How many do you now have? 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I folded it in 2, went ahead to fold in 2 again. So, because our skirt's actual length is 27 and 20 is for the upper part, that is the skirt itself, the pencil skirt itself. I need 20 actual inches for that. What it means in essence is that the circle will be 7 inches long. The peplum would be 7 inches long. But mind you, you might need to tape your peplum. Maybe you weave and, you should provide for that as well. For sewing, finishing, maybe half an inch is okay. Depends on what you want to do. Because at the upper part here, I'm going to go in by 0.5 of an inch. So let's get started. Our skirt is 27 inches long. The tube, the basic skirt itself is 20 inches long. I need 7 inches for my peplum, and I actually want to add half an inch to it. So that's for finishing. Now what do? I go ahead to determine my radius, which I have done. I deducted half an inch on the at the knee length area. Half an inch on both sides of the front panel will give us 1 inch. That means I deducted 1 inch from the front panel. I did the same for the back. I deducted 1 inch from the back panel. This is where I'm referring to. This is what I'm talking about. See, I deducted half an inch on it's on fold. See, so that means I took 1 from here. That means it is no longer 19 here. It has reduced by 1 here. It's now 18 here. I did the same for the back. It's 18 here and 19 here. Now, as you can see, 19 plus 19 will give us 38. 18 plus 18 will give us 36. And because this skirt would not have a vent, it won't be opened at the back at all. There will be no opening here. It's just going to be closed all through. That is why you should be careful with how far you shape your skirt, so that for easy, you can walk around freely if you don't shape it too much. So what it actually means is that my new knee length circumference, that's the all-round measurement of my new knee length, would be 36. I took half inch on 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's now 36. I need to find the radius of 36. That would be used to cut out my peplum. So this fabric is actually bigger than what I need, but I deliberately used it so as to show to people that the exact measurements, the way it will look if you cut it out. So you don't need to waste fabric. You don't even need to waste fabric at all. If there's no need for it, you don't need it. But I want to use this for the purpose of illustration, so that beginners can understand. That's why I'm using something as wide as this. So now my radius, I have calculated it, and the radius here is 5.73. I divided 36 by 6.28, and because it's not going to have any seam provision, I'm not attaching zip, I'm not doing anything. It's just going to be the basic circle itself without any seam provision. I'm not even going to cut it. It's just going to fit into the skirt into the knee length area comfortably. So because I don't want any excess, I don't want any extra fold, I won't use 5.73. I won't. I can choose to use 5.5 because circles tend to get wider. You cut and you think you have cut, and before you know it, it becomes wider. So there are times people don't use the actual. People either reduce, they reduce. They don't even add to it, except you want to pleat. If you want to pleat, you can add to this 5.73. But if you don't want any pleats there, just use something less, a bit less than 5.73. So the radius is 5.73. I would use, well, let me use 5.5. I'll use 5.5 for mine. So I'm going to mark the 5.5 all round. I'll mark 5.5 all round. Mark the 5.5 all round. That's the radius of your circle. Don't forget it's a 360-degree circle. And please do not measure directly on your fabric like this. Always use the reverse. But the issue is that you won't see clearly if I use the reverse here, because it's white and you won't even see what I'm marking. That's why I'm using the... So this is 5.5. You go ahead, connect it together to form that cone. Can you see? I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I hope it's clear enough. This is the cone. This is the cone. Now I'll go ahead to measure. I want to be close to that 36. I don't want it wider than 36. If I'm not comfortable with this, I go ahead. Can you see? I have that 36. And I can bet you by the time I open it up, it's going to be exactly 36 inches. I don't want it wider. Now, I want 7 inches for the actual measurement plus half an inch to finish it up. I go ahead to mark 7.5. This is 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. There's a way you can actually determine the quantity of fabric needed for the circle. How do you do that? Get your radius, add the value of your radius to your peplum. If you want a peplum of 7 inches, add that value to the value of your radius. Now, you add half an inch to it. It depends on how you want to finish it off. Just add half an inch to it for finishing. That is how you determine the length of your skirt. What I'm trying to say in essence is that this is 5.5, the radius, and this is 7. Can you see? This is 5.5 for the radius, and this is 7.5 for the length of my circle. Can you see? All in all, 7.5 plus 5.5 would give us 13. So it's very easy. You can actually determine the exact quantity of fabric to be folded. So that is the length of my fabric. So I need to now join this together. You join the points, you join the points, you join the points, join everything together. Please be careful. Try. Join. So for accuracy, let me come here. Actually, see? Do the same here. You have to be careful with circles. Do the same here. So how do I cut this? Instead of eating into this circle, thereby making it wider here and shorter here, I'll simply come up by half an inch. What will the half an inch be for? It will be for the seam allowance. This half an inch is required to attach the peplum to the skirt itself. So this is the half an inch I'm adding to it. Don't go deeper. If you do that, you will widen your circle and shorten the length of your peplum. Can you see? So, can you see? I'm going to cut it out from here. The half will be the seam allowance, and this is the actual length of my peplum. Please check. Ensure your circle is well shaped. If you feel you are not comfortable with the look, mark again. Aha, can you see? This is 7.5. Just mark. You can't be too sure. You cannot be too sure. Just mark, mark, mark. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to cut it out quickly. I'll cut it out from here. I'm cutting it out from here. I've provided for seam allowance. Now, I'll come down here to cut it out as well. See? Yeah. Now, this is going to be the peplum for my skirt. So this is where it derives the name, peplum skirt. So this is going to be the peplum for my skirt. And all I'll need to do is to go ahead, add 1 1/4 seam allowance here to the skirt block. Cut it out on fabric. While cutting it out, don't forget 1 1/4 seam allowance. Then this is my peplum. Can you see how beautiful it is? See my circle? My 360-degree circle. It looks lovely, doesn't it? So this is a detailed video on how to simply draft a peplum skirt. So if you have found this video beneficial to you, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, comment, and ask questions. I'll be available to respond to your questions and reply your comments. Thank you. Bye.